Hello and welcome to another episode of Breaking Mayberry, talking about old television while the world burns. That's an old intro, but it's more appropriate now than ever. Hi, I'm one of your hosts. I'm Marty Schneider.
I'm that other host, Dan Ludwig. So, Marty, I feel like our immediate instinct is going to be to talk about the quarantine.
Right.
But let me offer an alternative.
Yes.
I have like a squeezy stress ball toy that's a hedgehog.
Uh-huh.
Like just a cute little hedgehog.
Uh-huh.
And I'm noticing as we recorded previously, the hedgehog has an asshole. Like it has like a small dimple where a hedgehog's asshole would be. Like, and normally I would just be like, oh, maybe that's just like where they needed to put in like the stuff that makes it like squeezy.
Sure.
Like the weird material.
Okay.
But upon further examination, the hedgehog also has a small penis. It has like a small extruding nub right around where a hedgehog's dick would be. And Marty, either one of those, I'd say, well, that might be a coincidence. That might just be a manufacturing defect.
Mm-hmm.
But both of those together?
Sure.
I'm led to believe that my hedgehog, my squeezy hedgehog, has been manufactured with both a dick and an asshole.
Yeah, okay, so
thoughts?
You have an anatomically correct squeezy hedgehog.
Yes.
Do you think this might be some kind of fetish gear? Like maybe, like, would I get advertisements for this hedgehog on Wish? Like, yeah. I'll just be scrolling down through Facebook, like, do, here's some posts, do, my friend's kids, do, and then it's just like, Wish ad is just like, hedgehog with an asshole!
It's maybe, like, when this was being purchased for me, they were just all like, cute plushy hedgehog in the headline, they're like, click buy, and if you scroll down, it'll be like, it has a dick and balls and is meant to be crammed into your asshole. Like
Richard Gere style.
Yeah, exactly. Like, anal beads hedgehog. Anatomically correct. It won't impact the sensation at all, but it's just there so you know it's there.
So you know.
Yeah. We were recording our last podcast, and I was just like squeezing it, and then I just looked down and I was like, that's an asshole.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Like, if you if you like heard me trail off at like the half-hour mark, that was because I noticed that there was a dick and was trying to solve this puzzle in my head the entire time.
There was one time I was at like an antique shop or like a knickknack shop in Austin, Texas, and sitting on a shelf were these two little like ceramic turtles. You know, and I picked them up, and I'm like, oh, these are kind of cute little ceramic turtles. Can go on your grandma's table or whatever. And I like examined them. I flipped them over, and I looked on the bottom of them, and each of them had just like painted on there and like cast in ceramic so you could feel the bump. Just engorged, red, angry penises just sticking out of the bottom of these ceramic turtles.
Shit, what's that place in South Philly? It's like everything's made out of like mosaics and glass and stuff.
Oh, the Magic Gardens, Philadelphia's Magic Gardens. Which,
yeah, so
a must.
Have you been in there?
Oh, of course. It's a must go to any time you have family in town or whatever.
Yeah. So the fun thing about that place is that on the outside, it looks like it's going to be a barrage of vaginas and dicks.
Yeah.
Like, every size and shape of a vagina or a cock you can possibly imagine. Like, mermaid vaginas, cow vaginas, pig vaginas, a vagina coming out of a vagina that's actually a flower that's actually a vagina. It's incredible.
Let's give our non-Philadelphia listeners some context, which is a phrase I feel like I say often.
Yeah.
There is a artistic tourist attraction on South Street in Philadelphia called the Magic Gardens. And what it is, it's basically an art installation. In the 60s and 70s, he's still alive. There was this like artist in residence of Philadelphia. His name was Isaiah Zagar. And he did like really neat mosaics. You'll see them like taking up walls in public areas with a lot of like ceramics and a lot of mirrors and shiny things, and made all sorts of cool things. And the Magic Gardens is basically his home base, which is like an almost entire city block where there's like mazes and caves and stuff art made out of junk and like stained glass made out of like Coke bottles and stuff all over the place. And you kind of wander through, and it's very cool. And it's definitely a thing you should check out. But also, there's just dicks everywhere. Like, Isaiah Zagar himself, like, does his own little self-portrait, which is like him with a bunch of arms for all the art he does and a huge cock. And yes, there's just like him and like drawings of his dick and his wife's vagina just scattered throughout like a fucking Where's Waldo game. Like it's not like it's like a museum of sex. It's not like they're like, come to the Magic Gardens and see all the dicks. It's just like, you're like, oh, this is really neat. And then it's like, there's some dongs. Is that a conch shell? Or nope, that's a vagina. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Magic Gardens, Philadelphia. Come check it out. We'll give you a tour.
The
Breaking Mayberry Dick Tour.
Yeah. Well, like, but you can do one tour where they'll talk to you about like artistic merit and found art, and they'll just kind of like casually interweave the genitals, and you can do it with us where we'll just be like, all right, so we're gonna move real fast. We're gonna get to every cock and vagina in this place, and we're going to point to them, and we're going to loudly label them.
You know how in Hollywood people are selling maps to stars' homes? It's like that, but with crude drawings of genitals.
Exactly.
Listen.
I'll sell you that outside of the Magic Village.
I feel like we should expand this offering, to outside of that city block. We'll just like sell
Who
guys
wants a crude drawing of genitals from me?
City. Just everywhere in the city.
New Patreon tier. I'll draw a bunch of genitals on a piece of paper and mail them to you.
No, don't.
Yeah.
No, that's...
Yeah.
Dan, do not sexually harass our Patreon subscribers.
This would be voluntary.
That's for the Breaking Mayberry OnlyFans account.
Listen, this quarantine is a great time for me to transfer into a much more lucrative career of drawing pornography. We have met people who do that. We
have contacts in the industry.
It is a much better career path than anything either one of us are doing, and we should 100% switch to it.
Great dude. I was talking to him today. He was talking about how his job is recession-proof.
God. Fucking genius.
God, Dan, I'm glad that you did that. I'm glad that you took us on that journey, because it was still somehow better than talking about self-isolation and quarantines.
Yeah.
So we are a podcast about the Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah.
In case you fucking didn't know by any of the things we just said. And today we are going to talk about an Andy Griffith Show episode. So today we are talking about Season 3, Episode 8, The Mayberry Band, which originally airs November 19th, 1962. For a little bit of historical context, to tell you where we are at in America right now, the Cuban Missile Crisis is just ending. President Kennedy just ended the quarantine, and the Soviets are pulling their missiles out of Cuba right now. Just to let you know where we are. It has nothing to do with the episode.
Quarantine?
And this episode was written by Jim Fritzl and Everett Greenbaum, who write some real boring shit that we've seen before.
Yeah.
And directed by, he plays Animal Crossing for Tom Nook, Bob Sweeney.
His grandkids got him a pair of straight razors because he's always been talking about wanting to shave with a straight razor, even though he usually has a beard. So he uses it the first time, cuts up his face. But all in all, it goes pretty good. A month and a half later, he tries to shave his testicles with the straight razor, goes horribly wrong. Cuts off about a quarter of his right testicle. Has to go to the hospital. They manage to mend it. The testicle stays in place, but it loses all functionality. So he is, for all intents and purposes, down to one testicle. And you'd think this would be an embarrassing point that he'd keep to himself, but he brings it up at parties constantly, Bob Sweeney.
Jesus Christ, Dan. We have done nothing but talk about dicks and balls. The entire intro to this show.
Yeah.
Oh my god! You couldn't have saved that. You couldn't have saved that for another week. I mean, it was great. I loved it. But what the fuck, man?
I'm going to be very honest with you. That was 100% off the dome. I just was like, let's just do one. I think straight razors. And then just some sort of fundamental force spoke through me.
And yet you won't let me sign us up for an improv class.
Yes, no. Because if I did that at an improv class, they'd be like, all right, let's break that down. And then I have to do a bunch of breathing exercises, and absolutely not.
Okay, so here's your one-sentence summary from Wikipedia. Andy is determined to get the Mayberry Band into the state band competition, no matter how bad they sound. But the mayor is reluctant to finance their trip. So, yeah, that's basically the episode in a nutshell.
That's it. That's the whole thing.
It starts off at Floyd's barbershop.
They're just kind of hanging out doing vaguely musical stuff. Like, they're not really, like, playing music. They're just kind of hitting chairs in the vague sense of music and being like, hey, great job, guys. We're all having a good time. Which it kind of feels like the script called for them to be playing music, but they were like, fuck it. Just hit some chairs.
An old man walks in, named Jubal, and he enters and he's like, oh, do I have time for a haircut? And they do a dumb joke about his hat. He's like, my hat's getting too tight. Floyd's like, oh, I can't give you a haircut. I've got to cut all the boys in the band's hair before they go off to that competition. So here's the thing, right? Jubal.
Yeah.
Jubal, we've run into one other, I think it's the same guy, because I refuse to believe that there's more than one fucking dude in Mayberry named Jubal.
Jubal was the Steve of the South at this time. Like, every fifth guy was named Jubal.
So the last time we saw a Jubal, he was framing Andy's child for arson.
Yeah.
How is he allowed to walk into a room where Andy is? Like, how is Andy's response not to get the fuck out? Get out.
I told you if I'd see you again, I would shoot you in the fucking face. Get out of here, old man.
You tried to charge me for a barn and have me arrest my own son.
Okay, so I will say this. The previous Jubal, somewhat together, fairly spry, had a lot of his faculties. This Jubal is almost dead. Like, he is not there. So what we could say is that
really Joe Biden's in here too.
Oh god, he's like, okay, so the joke is he comes in and he's like, oh, I need to get a haircut. My hat's getting tight. Oh, I can't give you a haircut. Hey, Jubal, why don't you just not wear your hat for a couple of days? Oh, that's a good idea. So that should give you kind of an idea of Jubal's mental faculties.
Yeah.
So what I would submit is that Jubal, after he was arrested for moonshining, went to jail. And it went poorly. And so now Jubal is walking around with the life force sucked out of him by the North Carolina penal system, and Andy is just like, he's not worth it. I had my revenge. So, does that answer your question, Martin?
Sure, I suppose it does. Look, that's the first of many questions I have about this episode, so we might as well just keep going.
Listen, I'm just gonna throw this out there. I think this episode fucking rules.
How? This episode is so dumb!
This episode has everything I want. It has an extremely stupid con. It has some great physical acting.
It really does.
Yeah, it's great. It has a con that makes no sense except whatsoever. In the fever dreams of an idiot, and I'm here for it.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, the FIFO meter is going to be a 0 because there's like 0 stakes for this.
Yeah. Oh no, there's some fife. There's a nice little bit of FIFO meter in here.
So Barney comes in and he's like, "Hey Andy, you got to see something. You got to check this out." And Andy's like, "Well, okay. But I gotta be at the town council meeting in like 5 minutes, and 10 minutes or whatever. Because now he cares about showing up for meetings on time. I don't know, whatever. So outside,
it feels like there is a begrudging respect developing between him and the new mayor.
So outside is Freddie Fleet.
Yeah. Okay, so we should. Probably a lot of our listeners have not listened from the beginning, which is understandable. There's like 90 fucking episodes of this bullshit. The second episode of the Andy Griffith Show introduced Bobby Fleet, who ruled.
He love this Bobby Fleet.
Yeah, he was this musician who rolled into town. He roasted the entire town. He was kind of just like a fat, funny guy who constantly talked shit. And he had like a run-in with a bunch of antics. He came back later, and he was still a fat musician, but he was no longer funny, and he was a different actor.
Yeah, his personality had changed entirely.
Yeah, he was serious now, and he had a different actor, and we were kind of like, well, why did you change the whole dude's deal? You can just change the actor, but keep him the same. Whatever. He was still Bobby Fleet, and at the time we were kind of like pissed about it. Enter Freddie Fleet, who by all accounts is supposed to be the same man.
Driving the same car. Like, they even made it a good point that, like, on the Mayberry Wiki, that he's driving the same car.
Yeah, so and he says, like...
I don't know.
Okay, alright. He says specifically, like, every time I come into town, you rope me into one of your pot-bellied schemes. So, that indicates, like, he has been roped into Andy's schemes before. So, like, that indicates he's the same motherfucker from the previous episodes, but now he's skinny and completely and friendly and a super happy motherfucker.
Alright, so I've got the Mayberry Wiki in front of me, and Everett Greenbaum, one of the writers, explains this, and also gives a middle finger to you and I and our entire deal. Here's the trivia. Everett Greenbaum also explains that the mistake of using the name Freddie Fleet instead of Bobby Fleet was, in fact, an honest mistake. He explained that back in the day, they were just trying to make a living and had no idea that people would still be watching and analyzing the show years later. Otherwise, they would have referred to old scripts once in a while for continuity issues. And then in parentheses, fuck you, Marty and Dan. Kiss my ass, you nerdy motherfuckers. Like, he basically makes us into the magic xylophone guy from that episode of The Simpsons. And deservedly so. Like,
okay, but I'm gonna lean into it. What the fuck? Then why is he driving the exact same goddamn car and referencing past storylines?
Fair point.
It could have just been one thing for him to be like, hey, I'm Freddie Fleet. I'm a new guy. Like, I have my own deal. Nice to meet you, boys. And it would have been exactly the same, but he's like, hey, I'm Freddie Fleet. We have past history that kind of matches up with the other band leader named Fleet. So, fuck you. Your explanation doesn't make any sense. And you're the nerds.
Yeah,
okay?
he's...
You are the nerds, not us. You. How about that, old man?
Who is almost definitely dead.
You want to talk shit through time? I can talk shit through time, too. I'll find your fucking kids, and I'll yell at them about the plot of this episode. Probably your grandkids, because your kids are probably dead because you're old as shit. I'm furious now. I'm mad as hell. I don't know if you can see this. I'm doing the remainder of this episode standing. I'm pacing around wildly. It's freaking everybody out.
We're gonna be asked to leave the studio in a few minutes.
Okay, so let's do an actual version of this where that makes sense. So, Bobby Fleet has changed physical appearances and personalities, but he is remembered by the town of Mayberry the same, yeah?
Sure. I'll go on this journey with you, Dan. Why not?
You fucking better. Which leads me to the conclusion that Bobby Fleet is some sort of, transcendent being, right? He's like a shapeshifter or some shit.
Like Loki-esque trickster god? Because I can get behind that.
Yeah, exactly. Bobby Fleet comes to the town in times of, I guess,
need?
Boredom. Not really need. Yeah, he never fixes anything. He just makes everything slightly different than it was. So I think when shit is slightly too boring, Bobby, the entity known as Fleet, shows up.
Are you saying if you can get him to say his name backwards, Tleef Yeobob, you'll send him back to the Fleet dimension which he came from?
Yeah, exactly. You'll send him back to the hipster dimension where he belongs.
That's why he has to keep changing his name. It's to trick Andy. Because Andy will convince him to say it backwards somehow.
He's testing Andy.
Fuck yeah, and then just dropped a Mr. McPixelic reference in this podcast. All right.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's how you fucking do an explanation for that green bomb, you piece of shit. Get on my fucking level.
All right, cool.
He's a trans-dimensional trickster entity that moves through space and time, raising hell across different dimensions. I don't see how that's fucking hard. Okay?
It definitely makes way more sense than the writers forgot a dude's name. All right, cool.
Crushed it.
Nailed it. What happens next, Dan?
They're outside. They meet the entity known as Fleet. He introduces Phil, his new trumpeter, who has a very prominent goatee.
It's like a Van Dyke, too. It's a very, like, bebop kind of deal.
He looks like he's about to be revealed to be the devil in that one episode of The Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely looks like the typical devil, but I like this guy. I like Phil a lot.
Oh my god, I fucking love Phil. You kidding me? His next line is, "Hey, we're about to make a food scene. You want to fall in with us?" I'd die for Phil.
Phil is the, like, epitome of kids these days. He is the result of the oldest, squarest, whitest dudes on the CBS lot writing what they think a bebop and hipster is gonna be like. It's almost like millennials, but like with a little bit of love to it. Like, Phil rules.
Yeah, Phil fucking rules. I don't know if they were trying to make fun of Phil, but Phil kicks ass.
It's like in wrestling when they made Daniel Bryan like the anti-capitalist millennial, like, hippie WWE wrestler, and he was supposed to be the bad guy, but everyone fucking loved him and his stupid hemp title belt. That's right, we've gone into WrestleSplania territory. Come at us, Rachel and Kath.
Are you ready to also go into WrestleSplania territory? You ready for me to get real horny for Phil? Because it's gonna happen. I'd wreck that guy.
Oh my god, dude. You're not the only one who's horny for Phil. Phil and Andy have some real gay moments later. So
God, they really do. Like, yeah, like, Phil has a line later that I was like, oh!
Holy shit!
Someone fan me! Jesus Christ!
So they make a joke about, like, cool secret handshakes. You know, Barney kind of does that awkward thing where, like, one guy reaches out for a handshake and the other guy goes for a fist bump. And, you know, kids, see, when people used to greet each other, they would touch each other's hands and shake them up and down in a fashion. Just need to understand that was a part of a bygone era before the touching laws were enacted.
Yeah. In the old times, in the pre-germ era. And honestly, fucking the cool handshake that Phil does, much better. Yeah. Fucking awesome.
It's
Loved
great.
it.
It's great. Handshakes are stupid.
Can't really describe it in an audio medium, but just know, home listener, it's good. It's a good handshake.
It's a good handshake.
It's like the club handshakes you do, but better and not awkward. Okay.
We're spending the right amount of time on the handshake, I think. Really, just
God, I want to wreck Phil.
Using our time effectively. Jesus Christ, dude. Keep it in your pants.
Alright, so back at the jail.
Back at the jail, Andy is waiting for Barney. He's complaining because he's got to make that meeting. And Barney's like, nope, just stay back there. Just stay with your back facing me. And Barney sneaks up on him with a giant pair of cymbals and just smashes them behind him, which he's going to do to several people throughout this episode, and it's going to be funny every single time.
It's a great reoccurring bit, because every character's reaction is uniquely hilarious. I honestly don't know how this wasn't 100% genuine, because he hit those cymbals together very hard. Yeah. Like, you can't fake that. He did it right behind Andy.
It's not like they're rubber cymbals or anything. No, he just...
No. Those are cymbals. I almost feel like that moment was 100% real. Because Andy's reaction is fucking funny. Where he, like, grabs his entire head and almost falls out of his chair.
Great acting on Andy Griffith's part, because you know that he had to know that it was coming. Although maybe Bob Sweeney pulled like a little bit of like George Lucas thing and just gave him different script notes. That would be really good. But yeah, so he smashes the cymbals and he says, well, can I be in the band now? I got these cymbals. He said that he sprung for super expensive ones. He said he paid $18. Already did the math. It's spent about like $160 on these cymbals. that he got from Cymbal City in Chicago.
In Chicago.
Yeah.
Which, okay, so he drove all the way to Chicago to buy cymbals?
Or did he get them, did he get the Cymbal City catalog delivered to his...
Oh, I guess he ordered them
he from ordered
Chicago.
Them.
That makes more sense than the thing I thought.
But here's what I'm worried and wonder about is just does Cymbal City only sell cymbals? Do they at least sell other drums? I feel like that's a really poor business model to only sell the least popular part of a band.
I feel like the implication is that he bought them from like craftsman level cymbal sellers, you know?
Oh, I see. These are artisanal cymbals.
Exactly. These are like cymbals for someone that's been in an orchestra for 30 years.
Yeah, these are not beginner cymbals. And anyway, Barney's
Sorry
like,
to
can I
step on your bit?
Barney said, can I get that was it. That was it. Barney said, can I get an audition? Andy's like, all right, you can be the standby cymbalist. It can be second chair cymbals. And Barney's like, well, there's no first chair cymbals. And Andy's like, shut the fuck up.
Just shut up. Shut up, you idiot. And Barney's like, cool! Which I think Barney just wants to go on the vacation with them.
Yeah, he just wants to go on
we should
this trip.
establish the basic idea of what the fuck is happening, right? Have we explained that there's a band trip?
Yeah, there's a band trip that everyone's getting ready for. They're going to go to the state band competition. That's going to come into play right now at the mayor's office. God,
I got horny for Phil and we got really off track. Yeah, so the reason they were all getting haircuts and everyone was playing music in the band is there is a state band competition that they go to every year. This is the Mayberry Band. They play parades and picnics and stuff. And every year they go to represent the town at this band, at this contest.
So Andy's in the mayor's office at a town council meeting full of a bunch of dudes that we've never seen before, or maybe some dudes we have seen before. I feel like Orville is in this. I don't know. There's some pretty good.
It's not Orville because he doesn't look like something that was on. He does not look like something in a creepy Adult Swim short.
Okay, so there's a whole thing about how there should be Japanese lanterns for the festival, but they can't get Japanese lanterns, so they got to use balloons. There's this guy named Ralph who is really, really into the idea of being in a meeting. This is his first time there or something. He's like, here. And they're like, what the fuck did you? He goes, what the fuck do you mean here? He's like, I don't know. In a meeting like this, you're supposed to say here when you like stuff. It's an okay bit, whatever. There's this guy who's just super excited about the idea of a meeting, and that's he only has 4 lines. You can tell this actor guy is just this is gonna be my bit. I'm gonna sell the shit out of these lines. Anyway, that's it. The meeting is almost about to adjourn, but then Andy says, "Hey, Mayor, can you sign the city treasurer's voucher to take money out so that the band can go to the Capitol?"
So this is important. So he is asking for, this is my case for why this gets some fucking Barney meter points. Because he asks for a voucher from the Treasury.
Town funds.
Town funds allocated for a specific thing. So that's that's important. And the mayor says that he doesn't want to sign it because the Mayberry Band sucks.
Yeah, they're so bad.
They are a disgrace to the town of Mayberry, and he hates that every year they go out to this competition and they represent the town and they suck shit. And Andy says, well, yeah, they suck shit.
Yeah, he doesn't even defend them.
Yeah, he's like, no, yeah, we're terrible. We're absolute ass. But also, the boys been making plans. They've gotten haircuts, and they're all really excited, and you can't take this away from them.
I want to be clear
Not
here.
a good case.
I want to be clear here that this is not like high schoolers. It's not like a high school band that needs to raise money, and the kids have been so good. No. These are grown men. All of them.
Adult-ass men.
And the mayor, who Patreon Cheesy Bruh described as the Walter Peck of Mayberry, which is a good way to put him. The mayor is just no, I'm not going to spend town money on this shit. And I'm thinking, yeah, good point, mayor, whatever.
I'm going to say this. This episode, 100% pro mayor. Yeah. Will not waver on that. Honestly, pretty pro new mayor so far. He's been, I think, I put him at 80% right about shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fucking, like, 100% dead on. Don't spend town money to send a band that sucks shit and has no interest in not sucking shit to a vacation at the town capital.
Yeah, I mean...
And Andy says it's, like, to repay them for playing, like, picnics and festivals and stuff like that. But it sounds like probably no one enjoys it.
Yeah, like, if these guys are so bad, you don't need to have them at your picnics and festivals. Like...
Yeah.
What's the point of this?
Yeah, this is stupid. You're just making everyone miserable to justify you going on a fun vacation. Not even, like, to Raleigh.
Yeah, which is a place that you've all been before. Like...
Yeah.
So
the mayor makes an extremely good point. Andy demands one last performance to change his mind. Basically, like, come see us play. We're gonna practice real fast, probably for the first time ever, and we're gonna blow you away. Just please, come hear us for half a song. And the mayor's like, alright, I'll do it, but I'm going to eat after I see you guys perform.
Alright, good joke.
Solid rip from the mayor.
So, now we're at the concert hall. Barney is clashing cymbals together to make people be quiet. I feel like we don't have... Talking about this isn't going to explain how bad they sound. I'm gonna try to pull up a clip and play the music behind, but you can imagine what happens. The mayor shows up. They start trying to play, like, Stars and Stripes Forever, and they just...
Before the mayor shows up, Andy starts teaching them, like, basic music. Like, he's like, hey, guy who's playing playing the oboe, really, like, clamp down on the reed with your lips. Like, really close your lips before you blow on it. And it's like, that is day one oboe shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
he tells one guy to, like, tuck his chin down, and what he says is called Andy Gumpin' It, really gump it. That's a reference to a newspaper comic that actually went out of syndication years before the Andy Griffith Show aired. So it's already an outdated reference. But Andy Gump was a character. I don't know too much about him, but his whole, like, design was that he was like a chinless blowhard, essentially. Like, we make fun of Barney Fife for not having a chin. Andy Gump's whole thing was that he had like a nose and a mouth, and like then it went straight down to his neck. It became so well known that, like, there actually is a physical deformity that people sometimes have that basically looks like their chin has collapsed, and it is known colloquially as Andy Gump deformity.
My god! Searching for this on Google Images is brutal.
I was about to say I don't recommend doing that.
I didn't even search the deformity. I just searched Andy Gump,
and it pops up. It comes up as, like, the second, like, suggestion.
Oh, this is harrowing. Why do I keep scrolling down?
Yeah, don't look at it, man. Don't look at it.
It's a delightful cartoon character. Oh my god.
Yeah, it turns out, like, putting cartoon character proportions to a human being makes them, like, disfigured. So...
Oh god, move on to the next topic so I can stop looking at this.
So the mayor comes in.
Jesus!
And they suck ass, as expected. The mayor does some great facial expressions on this, and then he's just like...
He crushes it. This actor kills. The way his eyes go wide and the look of sheer despair in his face when they start playing is priceless. I could get that as a fucking poster. But so the way that they suck, I think I would describe it as like they start playing one song and they sound pretty good, and then half of them start playing a completely different song, and then half of that half start playing an even different song, to the point that they're playing, like, simultaneously something super patriotic, some big band shit, and like some smooth jazz,
and also like a dirge.
Yeah.
There. Like, so.
Yeah, I think that's their move to make them, like, suck, is to just have each person play a different song.
So the mayor, of course, is like, well, you at least sound better than last year, but you still suck shit, and I'm not paying money to send you guys places. And then he walks off. I'm going to skip the next scene because the scene is just like people arguing around the barbershop until Andy has an idea. He looks outside and he runs out and he says, "Hey, Freddie, can you give me a hand here?" And this is the dumb con. He's like, will some of your players
join my band?
Yeah, join my band. Just play in my band for just like half an hour, just long enough for the mayor to see us and then decide to send us to the concert or whatever.
Freddie is like, I'd love to. Nothing would make me happier to help you out with this con. I'm Freddie. You know me, Freddie, a character you've known for a really long time. I love a con. I have to get to Raleigh. I have an urgent appointment. I gotta go. And Andy, like a good friend, threatens him with a routine bag check where he would go through all of their possessions right there on the street.
And you know that Phil's got weed.
Oh my god, yeah, no, I mean, weed at the least. Freddie, just from his whole general vibe, has some coke on him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was the 60s.
They threatened to do an illegal search, basically, because you probably don't need a warrant at this point.
Yeah.
Those laws haven't been put in effect. So Andy, once again, is just like, well, I'm going to bend the law for my own purposes.
Freddie is a pretty good sport about it, where he's like, every time I come to this town, you make me do something illegal. Yeah, you violate my rights every time I come here, and I can't stay mad at you. This'll be fun. Maybe this'll be fun. This'll be a good time.
All right. Andy makes the case to the mayor that they'll be better when they're marching, and if you see
he
him
says that they're a moving band, so they sucked when they were sitting down.
And so back outside, Freddie's begging Andy, all right, hurry up. And Andy's having arguments with people, like who he's going to put in what outfit. Floyd doesn't want to give up his spot. And so Andy's like, fine, you can march, but don't play. And then we get a bit with Phil the trumpet guy.
Oh man.
So Andy says to Phil, Dan, do you want to just describe it? Do you want to do this? Can you?
Yeah. So, Andy says, hey, Phil, how are you going to know what to play with no music? And Phil just says, I'll just read your lips, Daddy. And then I melted. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Daddy, I'll just read your lips is exactly.
Yeah.
And I just, holy shit, the tension. And I feel like Andy knew it too, because he just kind of chuckles and blushes. All right.
Hey, Marty, do you have my show notes open right now?
Yes. Yeah. Your exact show notes say the words. The trumpet guy is sexy as fuck, and then the next bullet point under that is they start playing. The trumpet guy is sexy again.
Yeah, go ahead and just close this window because it kind of turned into fan fiction after this.
Oh man, it goes for a bit, man.
Yeah, it gets pretty graphic actually. I think this got away from me. I might just kind of delete this file off of your computer.
But yeah, so there's that bit, he says, I'll read your lips, Daddy, and Andy kind of blushes, which I think furthers my theory that there is at least one super closeted gay dude in every writer's room who is just trying to take hits where he can get them.
Yeah, who's just like, no, listen, the kids will love this.
The kids will love it. And then the mayor shows up, right?
No.
Oh, sorry.
They start playing, and Phil goes the fuck off. And just does this whole fucking just massive trumpet solo, and Andy just comes on like, hey, you might want to tone it down, and he just goes, I thought I was playing it kind of quaint. Yeah,
there's so much sexual tension between these guys. It rules.
Oh god.
You okay, man? Should I leave you alone for a couple minutes?
I feel like I might need to take off my shirt or something. I don't know. I don't know what to do with my arms
this
right now.
episode awakened something in Dan. All right, cool.
So the mayor shows up and just kind of sits down on a bench. Barney runs over to meet him and is just like, here they come. There's a great moment where Barney almost runs into a child and swats at him.
Barney does smash the cymbals behind the mayor, who also jumps and the mayor hates Andy, but the mayor really hates Barney, and I love it.
What if, like, right when that happened, like, Barney smashes the cymbals together, the mayor just has a heart attack and dies?
I feel like...
Just, like, starts clutching his chest and be like, Jesus! And then just, like, collapses there on the street.
I mean, I feel like at the very least, like, that should happen, and the mayor should be like, that's it, I'm done. Like, I'm not even listening anymore. I can't hear how good your band is because my ears are constantly ringing and bleeding a little bit. So, thanks, Barney.
Good job, guy who technically works for me. Wonderful. Your contract negotiation is coming up soon, right? Do deputies have contract negotiations? I don't know how jobs work. The band starts, like, coming down the street. They've all done this, like, elaborate swap out where some of the Bobby Fleet band is, like, embedded into the band, making them not suck shit. And they come up. They're fucking great. There's a fun thing where, like,
let's not say they're fucking great. Like, they are playing a song that, like, middle schoolers play, right? The bar is low here, okay?
Yeah. There's a really fun bit where all of Bobby Fleet's bandmates have to try to hide their facial hair.
Yeah.
And one of them is just like, fuck it, and just having his very shitty goatee. Is it a goatee if it's just on the chin?
Except for this one guy who's just, like, playing a snare drum and just doesn't give a fuck. It rules.
Yeah. So, they go around the corner and they all start, like trading coats, and the Bobby Fleet people start, like, jumping in a bus because they're fucking late for their gig in Raleigh. Meanwhile, they cut back to Andy, like, talking to the mayor, Andy's like, what did you think? It was pretty great, right? And Mayor's like, holy shit, I'm blown away. They are so much better. This is incredible. I can't believe my ears. Did one of them have a fucking goatee? Are those different dudes? And Andy's like, what? No. That goatee you saw, Phil had a blueberry pie for lunch. And
you can't say Phil, because Phil's one of the names of the dude, but, like, literally,
Steve had a blueberry pie for lunch.
You could have picked any other name in the world,
Listen,
my dude.
I
but
really
you
got
have
Phil on the brain, man.
You are so Philippated, like, right now.
I've been carving his name into my desk the entire time I've been recording. If I had a binder, his name would be sketched all over it.
So the mayor agrees to cut the check to send them to Raleigh. And then the bus, by bus we mean station wagon, containing Freddie Fleet and his band members. They drive by, they honk, they wave, and Mayor's like, who is that? And Andy's like, had a lot of beards, maybe they're like a traveling religion or whatever.
Okay, so what the fuck traveling religion could that possibly be in the 60s that they're okay with talking about?
I have no idea. I do not know. There's only a few, like, religions I know that are, like, well associated with having beards, and they aren't well associated with, like, travel. Oh, Jews.
I was going.
Oh, it's the Jews.
I was going to say, like, oh, well, I think that's their Manson family. They like to get out to this part of town.
No, it's the Jews. It's always the Jews.
Think it's the Jews?
It's the Jews.
That actually makes an extreme amount of sense.
We're a people known for wandering and also having beards. It's Jews. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
I think that might be one of them. They're Hebrews, Mayor.
Again, happy Muhammad's birthday. This show has not shied away from this before.
Yeah.
But whatever. The stinger is, like, they're all loading onto the tiniest bus I've ever seen.
Littlest bus. It's a little fucking clown car situation.
It's so funny because, like, the way it's shot, you only see, like, the people loading into, like, the door and, like, the first two windows and, like, the engine as people are loading up. And the mayor's like, oh, I'm very proud of you. I'm happy you're all there. And then the bus drives away, and as it drives out of frame, you can see that it's, like, 6 seats deep at the most. It is the tiniest. Yeah. It looks like they crammed into a fucking ice cream truck.
It's great.
It's so funny.
It's such a good visual gag. All right, so the mayor, to really drive it home, the mayor does not a short speech, but a very long speech. And he's like, hey, you guys sucked. I'm not going to lie to you. You guys suck shit. And the fact that you became good this quickly is a huge testament to your strength of will and perseverance, and I am so proud to have you represent the town of Mayberry. And then they get on the bus, and they drive away, and they all start playing, and they suck shit. Yeah. And the mayor's eyes die. And that is the end of the episode.
That's it.
And then the stinger is, they get back from Raleigh. Andy, talks about how he never wants to hear another band instrument again. And Opie comes in with a trumpet. End of episode. I think brief discussion of the FIFO-meter element of this. So if you boil down what happens in this episode, Andy requests funds from the city government. The city government denies them. And then to get those city funds, Andy threatens a traveling band, falsifies something in front of the mayor, and tells an elaborate lie to get those funds. So, I don't know if any of this was illegal, but it was so ethically dubious.
Yeah, I mean, it's dumb. It's
also the kind of heist that they would come up with on Ocean's 11 if there was a massive gas leak the entire time. Because
everyone just has lead poisoning.
Exactly. Everyone's faculties are compromised by 20%.
Which you know what, I gotta say, that might be one of my favorite Andy Griffith tropes, is just an elaborate scheme for no payoff, for no reason. It does help our ongoing theory that we haven't mentioned in a while, that Andy was definitely a con man before he became a sheriff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
it's because we haven't gotten to do it in a while because season 2 sucks so much shit.
Yeah.
That Andy never did any cons. He's been dropping juicy cons left and right this season.
Yeah, no, he gets to do cons again that have, very low stakes. I mean, I figure, I don't think Mayberry's broke. I don't know how much money this cost the town, but it could not have cost that much money to send 20 dudes to Raleigh, They all went in the same bus, so...
I don't know. Hotel accommodations for 20 dudes ain't nothing to sneeze at.
I mean, sure, but, it's probably, a small amount of the town's overall fun. I'm just saying, these elaborate cons for very low stakes are great, because it really does, hint that, Andy did have a secret life, and he gets bored. He's so bored, and his way of dealing with boredom is to just have elaborate pranks and cons and stuff. Whereas Barney's way of dealing with boredom is fantasies and delusions of grandeur. So,
yeah. I mean, I'm a sucker for any sort of a plot that's a con that sounds really, really smart and cool until you think about it for 5 seconds.
Oh, well, this is the right show for you then, my friend.
Exactly. It's been a great season for that. Of oh, that is really clever. Let me think about how clever that is. Wait, that's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life. It's great. It's like that thing in Blazing Saddles where they're walking around the town and they just start knocking stuff over and realizing it's all fake buildings. It's what it's like to see a plot twist on the Andy Griffith Show. Is oh, that's so clever. Wait, no, it's not.
I was thinking of a different Mel Brooks reference of capturing the stunt doubles, but yes, yours is correct.
Yeah,
yours is better. And that's it. That's the episode.
Yeah.
I think we will just make this a quick one. That was the Mayberry Band. It's not a bad episode of TV. If you were looking to watch something for half an hour, you could do a lot worse than this, I guess.
I liked it. I had a great time. Just for the mayor's facial expressions alone, that actor, I wish they kept the mayor around longer than they did, because that actor kicks ass.
He's so good, and it's good to have a foil for Andy telling him you can't do things that has actual authority. That changes up the dynamic pretty great.
He's not a villain necessarily. He is just an obstacle.
Yeah.
He is a powerful force that Andy has to deal with on a regular basis to provide a modicum of resistance, and it makes the show so much better. And he's gonna be gone. I think he has 3 episodes left.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sucks ass. It's so stupid. Yeah, so I think Andy meter?
8? No, I'm not gonna. Yeah.
I think it's pretty good. I'll put it at like an 8 or a 9. I'm gonna say a 9.
Okay, I liked it significantly less than you did, so I'm gonna say it's a 7 for me. But like,
yeah,
it's not bad at all. So
yeah, I had a good time. I had a good fucking time watching it.
And I gotta say, like, I don't give a shit about any of the stuff that we like. There is a little bit of police abuse of power, but it's one of those ones that everyone seems to be okay with, I guess. So FIFA is a 2 for me. Like, this is so dumb that I can't care about any of it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, like, if this happened season 1, it would have set both of our blood on fire.
Yes.
But it's years later, and we're so numb. So, 5. It's a 5.
That's it for this episode. As always, you can get at us on the internet. If you want to follow our goings-on, we'll be tweeting stuff about the shows. On Twitter, we are at Break Mayberry. That's BREAK Mayberry. I don't know why I needed to spell that. We are also on Facebook.com/Breaking Mayberry. Twitter, I already said. It's late. Instagram, Breaking Mayberry. All of the social things, like, subscribe, review, etc., etc. On Twitter, I am at Schneid Remarks. That is SCHNEID Remarks.
I'm at the Luds, 2 Ds.
And the music you heard before was Max Ludwig, who is on Twitter at Sleep Talkie. Always remember, if you want to support us with your dollars and get access to bonus episodes and deleted scenes and all sorts of other goodies like that, you can help us out on patreon.com/Breaking Mayberry. And if you want to support us with not your dollars, you can always leave a review or a rating on the podcast catcher of your choice, preferably Apple Podcasts, but whatever will do. And that's how you can help us out. That's basically it. Dan, are you currently putting a picture of Phil up in your locker right now? Where did you even get a locker?
I think I had to, like, custom order one from Amazon, but yes.
From Locker Kingdom in Chicago?
Yeah, I kind of made the mistake of getting modern day Phil, like how he looks now, and it's significantly less attractive. I really should not have pulled up the actor's actual Wikipedia. So
he's definitely dead.
He's 100% dead. And in typical Mayberry fashion, let's see. Yeah, it was a gruesome suicide. Wonderful.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, that's 2 in a row that we're leaving on a great note. Good night, everybody. We'll see you all. See you at the fishing hole.
Later.
Boom,